Welcome in. What's going on in on a Monday afternoon, evening, whichever you want to call it, man. Welcome into Sports with Balls. I am Jeff Michael. Lauren Leo's off this week. Mike Scarborough is actually in the building, but we have a special guest today. Steven Truitt, what's up?
How y'all doing?
First of all, Steven's dressed with the Tiger Woods hat and the shirt. How'd you shoot today?
77.
What?
77.
Nice.
Couple double bogeys, not enough birdies.
Wow, 77. And where'd you play?
Blue Jack.
Blue Jack. Woo.
Thanks for the invite.
Oh, man. I've actually never played Blue Jack. That's up north, right?
Yeah, it's in Montgomery.
We're over here in Houston, Texas. For those of y'all paying attention, welcome into Sports with Balls. We are live at Christian's Tailgate 2000 Bagby. We're down here, and tonight is the home opener for the Houston Astros. I know that's what everybody's been talking about via social media. If you're here in Houston, those of y'all listening from other cities, thank y'all for paying attention. If you don't like the Astros, I'm sorry about that. Like, I can't normally be biased on a show because this is a national show, but I love the Astros.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just my team.
I agree with you, man. They're fun to watch, and you know they've had some turnover, and everybody keeps thinking they're going to trip up, but they just haven't. And they're going to be a fun team to watch again this year.
So a buddy of mine texted me last night, Roy Stanton, and he was mad because the Astros got blown out a couple of times in this past series. They started off pretty good, and I said, man, look, that was our B lineup. I said, but I think this team actually has a better shot or a good shot of being better than the teams of the last 3 or 4 years. And that sounds weird because they went to the World Series a couple of times. I'm not saying better than 2017. And don't y'all start.
Yeah,
I already know where that was going. But I'm saying the lineup with Alvarez and Tucker and them getting hot, and this kid at shortstop that replaced Correa,
pretty good.
he looks phenomenal.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, you talking about getting blown out. I think their bullpen's young. I think they're going to have some learning curves with the bullpen.
Sure.
But, their bats aren't really working yet. Brantley 2 nights ago, I mean, he hits 3 balls. It has a 700 hit percentage and doesn't get a hit.
Yeah.
So they'll start falling. It's early, and I think they're going to be a really solid team and a good team to watch.
I do too. Verlander.
Look real good. I mean, Tommy John who? Tommy John what?
Sorry, hold on.
Oh, it is popping? Well. Hopefully it doesn't do that for much longer. Sorry if y'all hearing some popping noise. We'll get that fixed up. But sitting down here at Chris's Tailgate, man, welcome into Sports with Balls 2000 Bagby. Will you keep listening and make sure it doesn't do that? And then sitting down here with Steven Truitt. Before we get into too much sports, you're the owner of this Clean Athlete Skin Defense, natural cleanser, active athletes. And we've been pushing this a couple of times. Let me put it up for you guys on what this is. I love this stuff. Where did you come up with the idea with this thing?
Well, I mean, the Clean Athlete itself, the active ingredient is something your body produces. This was actually used in our soldiers' field and wound packs back all the way in World War I.
Whoa.
So back then it had a 90-minute shelf life. We've developed a process to make it and have it have the shelf life, obviously, so we can sell it. It's amazing stuff. I mean, if you're using something that's toxic to your body, you're making a mistake. This stuff's 100 times more effective than bleach, and it's gonna get you where you need to go with all your germs and pathogens and things of that nature. I
like saying it's almost like a liquid mask, but it's not. You don't feel liquid on your face. It's not sticky or anything like that.
No, it's not gonna leave a residue. It dries really quick, and again, it's all natural. It's what your body produces when you get sick. So all you're doing is helping your body out. It's actually 518 sprays.
Did you do that yourself?
We did sit down. One of the employees, we had him spray it, and it was 518 sprays.
What's that old commercial? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a
Tootsie Roll?
Tootsie Roll. There you go. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
518 sprays, and you'll get to the end of one of these bottles, man. It's fantastic stuff. Website's on the screen, or if you're listening, it is thecleanathlete.org, O-R-G. Spelt the way it sounds, man. Thecleanathlete.org, or call Steven 281-733-4150. We were going over the Astros just a little bit, and I'd like to get your opinion because we talked a little bit prior to the show a few days ago. I mean, you're a baseball guy, and I've heard from Mike that you're you're pretty damn good at it.
No, that was a long time ago, but we had some
pretty
good
at
time
golf. You
together.
shot a 77. Now, does that translate? Because a lot of people say that baseball swings don't translate into golf swings.
I agree with that. I do not think it translates. I think, obviously the power and the ability to swing the club, but I think people say what you're saying, it's the same swing on a different plane. I think it's a totally different action, but I think there is some translation as far as for power, but other than that, no.
He only hits about
Gotcha.
He only hits about 340. Just FYI. That's no BS.
Dude, Thomas Kim, I hope that the noise is gone now, but is it still popping on there, Mike? Can you hear it? But Thomas Kim, you know what he just said, man? He said the noise on the feed is similar to the Astros trash can noise.
Get out of here with that. Because they were the only team doing it, right?
No, well, and now you see, that's funny that you mentioned that. Now you see all these athletes, even ex-Dodgers, coming out and saying, hey, look, they were not even close to the same, not even close to the only team doing that. Like, it wasn't, like, everybody was doing it.
No, they were all doing it. And, you speak of Dodgers, I mean, what a train wreck they have as a manager over there that pulls out a pitcher that's throwing a perfect game. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Horrible. Dave Roberts is horrible. He has successfully not won the World Series with his managing skills.
That's a good point.
He's horrible.
The Dodgers have been to the World Series twice. They lost to Astros and they won. I hate saying this, dude, but I don't like the bubble championship in the NBA with the Lakers, and I don't like the COVID championship with the Dodgers.
No,
I don't. I don't think there's no fans. There's no fans make games. 100%.
It's a different element.
Shortened season, so I don't like that championship. I don't claim it's legit. But then people are going to turn around and say, "But you claim the Astros." God, I get it. I get all the narratives on that, man. But listen, welcome all you guys for. Oh, look, Thomas Kim, the clean athlete should go on Shark Tank. That'd be awesome.
Nope, because you got to have a COVID shot to go on there.
I love it.
We don't need COVID shot. We got clean athlete.
Well, now there is a sales pitch right there. Yeah. That's awesome. Sitting down here with Stephen Truitt, man, we got to thank a couple people before we get too much into that, man. Want to thank Brian White, man. Best phone number in the business. If you are injured for any reason and need real results with a real attorney, call attorney Brian White, 713-500-5000. That's 713-500-5000. Brian is the man. Also, you need your roof done? Corey Fitz is the bomb. Love Corey over there and what he does. Call Corey Fitz. Making a difference, serving people driven by their community, not just revenue. There's the number, 832-521-3001 or fitzroofing.com. That's FITZ roofing.com. All right, let's get to it, man. We got some people listening on here. Astros opening day. Baseball seems to be heating up now. They're about 10 games into the season. Have you watched a bunch?
I have. I've watched pretty much every Astros game, and then I've watched a few others on Sunday Night Baseball, Wednesday Night Baseball, all that.
I know we're only 10 games in. And cream always rises to the top. I always say that, but you can already see the standings. Like, you know who's bad.
Toronto's for real.
Dude, they are. And I've said that since day one on the show, that I really, really love the Astros and the Dodgers in the World Series. Now, that's not just because I'm an Astros fan. Obviously, Dodgers on paper have one of the best rosters maybe in the past 50 years, right?
Yep.
Like 4 MVPs, incredible pitching staff. I mean, they look good. If they stay healthy, that's a hard division, but if they stay healthy, they should be there. And I love the Astros lineup. If they can get it all together, the Astros look great in the AL. Now, that being said, Toronto looks vicious.
They're unbelievable. I mean, their core group and their pitching staff is just unbelievable. They're going to be hard to beat. They're going to win that division, I think. I think they win it going away. I think, Garrett Cole, I think, made a huge mistake leaving Houston because of Strom. I mean, Strommy's not here anymore, but he struggled ever since he's left, and I think it was a bad decision for him other than the 200 million reasons it wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason he went. And look, Vlad hit 2 bombs off of him the other night, Vladimir Guerrero for Toronto. And what I would say was a show of strength when the Blue Jays took out the Yankees. Like, I mean, they dominated. They're 6-4 right now. The Yankees are 5-5. And again, look, we're only 10 games in, but Toronto, I don't think is going away from that top spot, or even like they're going to be right there with them, right? So in that division, Toronto, Yankees, Tampa Bay, who looks good too. They're 5-5, and you got Boston. The only team in that whole division that's worthless would be Baltimore. Yeah. And they're going to stay down there. Baltimore's in a complete rebuild for I don't even know how
20
long.
years.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. Baltimore looks to be a little bit of a mess, but that's going to be an awesome division to watch. And yes, you're right. Toronto has been on my radar. I'm scared shitless of them. George Springer hit a leadoff home run the other night, and it just reminded me how good he used to be in Houston. Now, he was hurt all last year, so he didn't get to show anything. That's why the Astros fans didn't miss him, because you never heard anything. Vladimir Guerrero lost a little bit of weight, and you also have Bichette over there. Like, dude, that team looks good and young and real. So Toronto looks awesome. In the Central over there in the AL, White Sox are already running away, it looks like. They're already 2 games up in their division.
Yeah, they're gonna be good. I think Cleveland will. I guess the Guardians, is that what they are now?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's weird.
Strange to say.
I think the Cleveland's gonna give them a run. I think they're gonna keep them honest in that division for sure. They got some good players, and Ramirez, he's playing for that big contract that he wants, and he's gonna be. I mean, he's a ball player.
So glad you brought that up. Is he worth $300 million?
None of them are worth $300 million.
Dude,
it's gonna bust. The bubble will bust.
Well, and we're going to get into the NFL here in a little bit about that, too, with all these contracts that are coming up. The NFL just signed somebody that's record-breaking again. Before baseball went on strike, they signed a record amount of people, especially the Texas Rangers, who are still terrible. But they signed a record amount of money during the offseason, and these contracts are getting absolutely out of hand. And a listener on the show brought it up the other day when we were on live, said that he thinks during our lifetime that we're going to see $1 billion contract. And I'm like, I think they'll stop it. It has to have a stopping point somewhere.
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to have one of these big time free agents that's going to be looking for that kind of money, and the owners are going to come together and just they got to stop. They're going to put an end to it. They're going to make an example out of somebody. Now, if it's this year, next year, or what dollar amount, but somebody will be made an example of.
Sure.
And whether they sit out a year or just come to the realization that it's just gotten too big, the bubble's going to burst, and they bring them down to reality.
I 100% agree. These things are, him wanting $300 million to play in Cleveland. Now, if Cleveland is a contender, and I understand that, but I mean, it's another thing. The Texas Rangers signing all those people. You're trying to buy championships.
Yeah, you're trying to buy it.
Not even doesn't always. Most of the time, that doesn't translate into championships. Now, it'll translate into playoffs, and it will generate revenue.
Maybe.
But championships, it doesn't buy championships. Look, I mean, I'm not saying look at the Lakers, but
well, yeah, you got a bunch of guys.
Anytime I get a chance to,
I agree. I hate them, but you got a bunch of guys that are getting paid. There are a bunch of guys that are typically they're going to be your A-type personalities, and there seems to be always problems. You look at what the Astros did, and they did it with the farm system. They brought those guys up at the same time, or kind of sprinkled them in. And nobody was bigger than the team. And I think that was the attitude they took. And I think that has also translated to the guys that are coming up and playing with them now.
Yeah, and I also think that the Astros were very, very good at getting the maximum out of the minimum. And what I mean by that is the maximum potential out of these new players on the minimum salaries. Right.
Exactly.
And that's what the business is about. When they won in 2017, they had Carlos Correa on his original contract. They had all these. I mean, Bregman wasn't even signed for his $100 million then. Like, they were getting, they got a lot of money. they made a lot of money.
They definitely did.
And because again, when you're winning and doing well, right after that first contract, you're gonna want the big bucks. Again, these players asking for $300-400 million. It's just that's a lot of money to play baseball.
It's a lot of money to do anything.
God.
And you think about it, baseball, and I've always said this, baseball is one of the only sports where you can get paid millions of dollars before just on projection.
Yes.
Change that up and make it be, look, you were drafted in this slot. Here's what your potential is. Now let's go play and see what part of that potential that you earned. I think that would help a lot.
Yeah, you get paid on 1 year.
Well, you get paid before you on the draft.
Yeah, well, yeah, now a little bit. And that was one of the arguments during when they had the lockout was they wanted rookie salaries to be, obviously more. I think it was at 300. They wanted 500, something like that.
Well, it was the minimum. They wanted so the minimum used to be 350. Went to 500.
Yeah,
they were wanting it to be 750 for the minimum.
Golly.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not on the owner side. I'm not on the player side, but I am on the side of people that build businesses and companies. Dude, these people bought the Astros or whatever organization you choose, like, to go for, or these guys want to buy, is billions and billions of dollars, but they have other companies. They're businessmen. They did all this stuff and made all this money, and then the player's like, you know what, you need to give me this, you need to give me this, you need to give me this. And I guess it's based on revenue, right? But I know that these guys aren't making that much. Like, I see the empty stands.
Right.
Like, and people say baseball's declining. I don't. I mean, these guys want all this money, and they say baseball's declining. Like, whoa, well, hold on, something's not adding up.
Well, I think a lot of the money that they're using to pay these salaries come from the TV contracts, come from the revenue sharing within the league. While you go to a Kansas City. Well, Kansas City's probably a bad example because they support them. But let's say you go to a Baltimore game, and you got 10,000 people there. Well, they're obviously not even at their payroll covering they're not covering it. But with the TV deals and the revenue sharing and everything else, they have that extra money to play with, and it's just ruining the game.
I agree. I agree 100%, man. But we're here in Houston, Texas, man. We are at Christian's Tailgate. It is the home opener for the Houston Astros. Wow. A lot of people are excited about this. Me too. They did just come off a bad series. They went 6-4 to start off this, or 5-4, I'm sorry, to start off the season on the road. And look, if you're an Astros fan and you're listening, you got to understand the Astros are terrible on the West Coast. They always have been. I don't even know why it is. It doesn't matter. Seattle, the Angels, San Francisco, wherever we're playing, Arizona, which has generally been a really bad team. We just don't play good in the West time zone. Like, we do not. I don't know if it's how they don't wake up early or what.
Travel schedules probably, and they're waking up and. But traditionally, I mean, if you look at their record versus, they've pretty much owned Seattle.
Yeah.
This year, again, it's early. We don't have Jordan. Jordan's hurt, or I guess he's sick, right?
Yeah, he had fever for 3 days straight. He is in the lineup tonight.
Okay, yeah.
So that'll be fun.
That can boost any lineup.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, that guy. But we have 3 potential MVPs in this lineup, and you have a potential for the Rookie of the Year, and you have a potential for the Cy Young.
Right. It's going to be an exciting year. I mean,
it's going to be amazing if you're an Astros fan.
Everybody's worried about losing Correa. I think Pena's going to step in and just fill that role seamlessly. And if Siri's listening, I just want to tell him, just relax and play the game. Leave the sideshow bull crap. Just leave it alone.
It was fun last year, right? Like in the playoffs, and you got a glimpse of his like kind of attitude and whatever, and it was fun to see. But yeah, he's not a superstar yet. Don't act like one.
No.
Like you just brought up our new shortstop, and I think this kid, it wasn't the play that he made. It was what he did afterwards, right? He made a diving play to catch the ball over his shoulder, and he got up, kind of tossed the ball and just smacked it with his other hand. And you could tell the confidence that this kid already had on that field.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved. That's why I was like, whoa, he feels and knows that he can step in. And Carlos Correa, for me, was the best shortstop in the league. It wasn't just because of his offense. It was his defense. He has a cannon for an arm, and he is unbelievable at shortstop. And obviously, that's where most of the balls are hit on the infield. That's why shortstops, are generally the most athletic guys on the team. So for him to step in like this and be confident, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
He's definitely got some intensity about him, too. I mean, I think it's a quiet intensity, but I think as he gets his feet wet and the year goes on, I don't think he's going to be anything like Siri, who, again, I mean, you put him in the 10th inning at second base, he scores, he acts like he just hit the World Series game-winning home run.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, relax. I mean, you're running because you were the last out.
We're on game 8, bro. Chill out. Calm down. But right now, man, there's only one game that was finalized today. The Twins beat the Red Sox 8-3. Twins are 4-6, Red Sox 5-5. I already told you Astros and Angels come up here in about 45 minutes. You also have Pirates versus the Brewers, Rays at the Cubs, Phillies at the Rockies, Orioles, Athletics, Reds, and Padres. And here's an interesting game that I wanted to bring up to you, which is Braves at the Dodgers. Now, Freddy Freeman has had some controversy in L.A. I mean, not in L.A., in Atlanta. Now you're seeing that maybe he wasn't as welcome there as he thought, in the locker room. And then you see he hits from that controversy in Atlanta. You see L.A. he hits a double last night, and they give him a standing ovation.
Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, we don't know what's going on. The guy's a hell of a player.
Sure.
And, maybe there was some controversy in the locker room, and that was probably what led him to leave. I mean, the fans don't know what's going on, and he seems like a good guy, but hell, I don't know him.
You don't know him in the locker room.
I don't know him in the locker room. I don't know him on the field. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, he's looking out for his family and doing what he thinks best for him. But, sour grapes. Move on.
He's in L.A. Look, he won a World Series with Atlanta, and I don't care. I don't think he's the – from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like Freddie Freeman's a bad locker room guy.
Doesn't look like a problem at all.
And the way he explained it was that it was the culture that Atlanta had. He was just trying to go by that, and some of the teammates were not agreeing with the culture that Atlanta Braves had provided, and they were bumping heads because of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he whatever the reason was, he felt that it was better for him in his career and family for him to move on. He did it, and I think he's a great player. And like I said, none of us know what's going on in the locker room. So on the field, I'd like to have him.
Yeah.
Usually he's 46 years old. We might get him next year.
He had a terrible year he had a terrible year the first half of the season last year, and then he came back in the second half, obviously, and was amazing. Tonight, the Braves at the Dodgers, like I'd mentioned, Clayton Kershaw back on the mound after the 70-pitch perfect 7-inning game.
It's
now,
ridiculous.
I'm glad I have you on the show. You love baseball. Again, man, we're sitting over here talking to Stephen Truitt, owner of Clean Athlete. Go to thecleanathlete.org. Would you have pulled Clayton Kershaw with 70 pitches?
Not a chance. And what's even more disappointing and is that Kershaw let him take him out of the game. There was a story about Nolan Ryan. He was in the pitching for the Rangers, and Bobby Valentine was the manager, and I can't remember the guy, the pitching coach, and they're sitting there, and he's at like 100 and something pitches, 46 years old, and he says, well, he's older than me. I'm the manager. You go pull him out. So he goes out there, and Nolan tells him, he says, what are you doing out here? He said, take your ass back to the dugout.
Damn.
Well, Valentine comes out.
Ryan shit right there.
Valentine comes out to actually pull him out of the game. And Nolan Ryan tells him, there's one person leaving this mound, and it ain't you. It ain't me. So get your ass off my mound. I would have expected something like that out of Kershaw. He's a veteran. I mean, he's pitched for, 16, 15 years? I mean, he's still in a perfect game. There's 25 ever, and they take him out.
There were 23, and he would have been the 24th. There's a controversial 24th, so it's either 24 or 25. But after the game, of course, I think he just said all the right things.
He took the high road.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
I think that's exactly what happened. He said all the right things, but in his heart, he's like, come on. You at least go player by player at that point, or batter by batter. If he walks one, if one gets a hit, and it could be 6 pitches later, fine, cool, take him out. But go batter by batter after that point. Don't pull him after 70 perfect to where he doesn't even have a chance to pitch in the 8th inning.
I mean, what message does your manager at that point, what message does that send to the rest of the team? Those guys are probably sitting there going, oh, my God, I can't believe he's doing that.
Because the defense loves that too.
Yeah, I mean, he's working 70 pitches through that many, 7 innings. What message as a manager are you sending to your team right there? I don't think it's a good one, but I'm not a Dave Roberts fan to begin with. So.
Now, look, everybody knows, I talked about it a minute ago, I'm an Astros fan. I'm from Houston. I love the Houston Astros, but I have bet on the Dodgers the last 3 nights, and it's been fantastic. And I'm probably going with them again tonight.
I mean, they're a good team. They're going to win some games for you, but, it's at the end of the day, I got to stick with my hometown Astros.
Yeah, barring injuries, the LA Dodgers are the favorite.
On paper.
Yeah, on paper. They have the best lineup in the last 50 years. I mean, you got to go back to the 60s Yankees or maybe even the 40s Yankees before you find a better lineup on paper. These guys are unbelievable. And it's all injuries. It's a long season. It's a matter of what you do over the progression. 162, 81 away, 81 at home, and you have to figure out how to manage that. And Dave Roberts, pulling him, that's where he was at. It was his Clayton Kershaw's first game, and he's like, okay, well, we're on a pitch count regardless of what happens. Okay, you're on a pitch count regardless of what happens until it's a perfect game.
Right, until we're not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was absolutely – I wouldn't have done it. I was shocked when it happened. Mike's over here trying to get in Clean Athlete, of course. We still got Mike. For those of y'all that want to know, Mike Scarborough is back. He'll be back on the show hopefully Thursday. There he is. There he is. Right, we got Stephen Truitt on here. I'm going to put up his brand again. Anything else like on this stuff, the cleanathlete.org, where'd you come up? Like, because this is a killer idea. Like I said, it's like a liquid mask, but there's no stickiness. Like, look, it is. And you spray it on microphones. You spray it on absolutely anything. It's what your body naturally makes. It's a natural defense. There's no odor.
No,
nothing. It's fantastic. I feel refreshed.
Can you add an odor?
No, we don't want to add an odor. We like the clean athlete.
And Mike wants to add like his girlfriend's perfume on there so he can smell her all day.
Candy.
Like, come on, man.
There's places you can get that odor, but it ain't gonna be out of our clean athlete. So we're gonna stick with the refreshing, the clean smell. But again, we didn't, it's not something
the new car smell.
Yeah. It's not something we invented. It's something that we produce. We figured out how to actually produce it with the shelf life. There are other people out there that have some, but ours is the only organic. We don't put any vinegar, boric acid, or anything that helps stabilize it for shelf life. It is truly 100% organic and 100% natural.
So speaking of shelf life, how long it's got? What'd you say? 518 squirts, and you knows that because he did all of them. Yep. I'm on squirt number 3. I'll let you know if I get to 518. Speaking of that, what is the shelf life?
Shelf life right now, you mean it's going to last you 2 years. If you buy it and you got it for 2 years and you haven't used it, then you probably not using it right anyway.
Over here talking to Stephen Truitt, the owner of Clean Athlete. You guys go to thecleanathlete.org, and obviously huge baseball fan. Just want to bring up a couple of things. Just to touch on what we were saying earlier about these contracts and what's going down. I have notoriously been against the Cleveland Browns and the guaranteed $230 million for Deshaun Watson. It's changing the NFL.
It's changing all sports because how it's there's always one that's going to take the lead, and it always leaks over into the other sports. And again, until the owners say, hey, you know what, enough's enough, because it's just there's not a stopping point. Yep. And until they get to that stopping point, and like I said, I think at some point, I don't know if it's going to be this year, maybe this year, maybe next year, probably more so in off-season free agency, is they're just going to say no. And the players going to be and the agents are going to be put in a position that they're either going to play or they're not.
So here you go. This is thank you. I mean, dude, you need to come on the show more often. Mike's not good at this. Just kidding. It's only because he's sitting right here.
No, he's good at it. I watch.
So the athletes are going to sit, right? So today, you get, because of the wide receiver market and all the money that's been thrown out to these wide receivers, that's just now it's like $30 million a year now that they've moved it up. They've moved it up $10 to $15 million in 1 year for star athletes. So you got
Miami.
Yeah, for Tyreek, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin, who are all great wide receivers. Deebo Samuel obviously is a little bit more than a wide receiver. He's a multiverse player, can do a lot of things. But they all said today they are sitting out. They're all in their first-year contracts. They have 1 year left on their contracts, and they all want that money. And so now they're all planning on sitting out their on-the-field workouts, man. And
I say let them sit out. I mean, you know what? If they can't play for $20 million, I bet you there's 100 other guys that'll play for $5 million. You know, I mean, and if that's what it comes to, let them sit out. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. It's out of hand, and then it becomes you're taking away. Some people spend their hard-earned money. That guy that makes 70 grand is spending a lot of money to come watch them play at a game, and they're wanting to just exponentially grow the salary base, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, Devontae Adams got $142 million, 28.5 guaranteed a year. You've got Tyreek Hill with the 120 and a record-breaking $72.2 million guaranteed.
But that being said, is it their fault? I don't think it's the players' fault. I think it's all on the owners.
I am not look, so when I go to Sports with Balls on any one of our social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of them. I posted, I'll post all kinds of stuff on there, and you can voice your opinion. I've never said that this was the player's fault. I mean, look, get what you can get.
Right.
The market will dictate what your worth is, and if that's the market, then if you can get paid that, that's what you're worth.
Yeah, they just got to realize that there is an end point.
Well, that's exactly I think the Players Association needs to come together and be like, you said at the very beginning of the show about baseball, and the same thing with, like, you're going to burst the bubble.
Yeah.
And then when that bubble bursts, it's all gone. And you've got to be careful what you do. They need to have some sort, you know how not Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett kind of changed the NBA with that, 100 and something
120 million.
Yeah, $120 million contract. Then they were like, whoa, we have to have a ceiling. We got to stop. We've got to have, enough is enough. Well, baseball obviously doesn't have a cap. Football kind of does, but not really. There's going to be a point where they're going to have a hard cap. And at positions, because it's getting ridiculous, man. Like,
well, I don't know if you can have it at positions, because then you're going to have internal. I think a hard cap just across the board will work better than at positions, because, like I said, that same guy that's spending $25 to $50 on a ticket, which I don't know if he can even get one that cheap. Now they go, okay, well, the ticket's $125. Well, you lose that guy.
Yes,
he's not going to spend $400, $500, $600 plus concessions.
Yep. And then, look, Thomas Kim, he said, tell Mike Kanye wants his backpack back. I'm going to get him over here. That's a good one. I got to stare at that backpack a lot. Ouch. But, over here talking about the salaries, we were on earlier talking about baseball salaries and the bubble bursting. And, it goes down to this football. And, of course, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and Terry McLaurin all going to sit out until they get their new contracts. Something else happened in the NFL today that I thought was cool, because the defensive backs have been wondering, like, hey, we got to lock these guys down. They're making $30 million a year now.
Right. So
the Cleveland Browns, who maybe we'll get into Baker in a minute because I've voiced my opinion on that, but the Cleveland Browns make Denzel Ward the top paid cornerback with a 5-year, $100.5 million contract.
Again, it's got to stop. I mean,
I think it's good. Look, This is going to change the market for cornerbacks now. So now every other team that has a star cornerback, there's your starting point. $25 million a year. 5 years, $100.5 million extension. Includes record-breaking for cornerbacks, obviously. $71.25 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, if you've got guys that are sitting out because they're not getting paid $30 million a year, at what point do you think they're giving you the effort on the field because they just love the game and love being out there? Yep. Where does that start? Where does that start and end? Because if you can't go and play for fun, that's an issue. I get it's a business. I get they are individuals and they're trying to make the most money they can for their family. But I mean,
this is crazy. I'm gonna read this stat for you. Who won the NFL championship, Super Bowl last year? The LA Rams, right? There's two teams ahead of them with guaranteed salaries, guaranteed money they're paying out this year. The Browns at $340.5 million. And are they even close to the Rams?
Pretty close.
Well, I'm saying
they're both in the NFL.
Yeah, that's about it. And the next team is the Miami Dolphins at $242 million guaranteed this year. They're both, the Browns and the Dolphins are both ahead of the Super Bowl winning LA Rams in guaranteed money. And the Browns and Dolphins are nowhere close to the LA Rams.
No, they're not even in the same stratosphere. That's
insane.
Ridiculous. I mean,
I can't believe that. Like, that is absolutely insane. The Browns and the Dolphins.
The Browns have been good at screwing up for a long time. The Browns are spending a lot of money if you look up and down their roster on paper, again, we go back to the on paper deal.
Yep.
You look at their roster on paper, you sit there and go, gosh, how does this team lose? Well, they'd lose because they had Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's simple as that. He's awful.
Brian Chestnut says $12 hot dogs. Most American families can't afford to go to the games anymore. And that's what we were getting into because, and thank you, Brian, for that. But when these players drive up their price, guess what else is going to go up?
Tickets, prices,
sodas, hot dogs, everything. They're sitting in boardrooms going, okay, well, we got to pay this guy $30 million a year. Let's just raise the hot dogs 75 cents. And boom, they're going to make up for a lot of it. But they don't understand that, again, like Brian was saying, now that most American families just can't go. In order to go and take a family of four to a baseball game now and have a decent seat, you're going to spend $400 to $500.
Oh, for sure. I don't know, Brian. He could be at the game. Is that what they're charging over there? The old juice box tonight?
Probably. God, I mean, look, you're already packed in there, and you're going to get everybody. That's why I mean, obviously we have the show tonight, not going to opening day, but if you wait till tomorrow, everything's cheaper. And I mean dramatically cheaper because now they're going to price. They opened up an El Tiempo. Can you imagine how much a fajita plate costs at El Tiempo in Minute Maid? 75?
Yeah, $90. $90 for fajitas for two. I mean, and what'd you pay? Is it? I didn't know they were doing that. Is that somewhere you can go in and get a ticket sitting there during the game like Ruggles was? Or
yeah, I don't know.
How's that?
I don't know. Anybody that's over there and then watching the show, whatever, let us know if you're in there where the El Tiempo is. I know that they opened one, like you said. I mean, there's no I couldn't even afford to order a margarita in there.
Well, yeah, if it's $90 fajitas plus your ticket, I mean,
dude, because for opening day, and I understand it's opening day and whatever, your tickets are going to be expensive, but they're probably average $140, $150. Let's just say 150 times 4. Already you're at $600 for you, your wife, and your 2 kids, right? Or your girlfriend, whatever. I don't know what you do, but but like that's it. You're at 600. Kids are hungry. They're thirsty. You go up there, just one round of drinks and food. That's another $150. Man, you're literally at almost a week's, maybe 2 weeks worth of pay to go to a game. And that they have to, they got to stop that.
I got to sell a lot of Clean Athlete and take my kids to the game. So y'all go ahead and order it up because my kids want to go to a Drillers game in Tulsa.
Right? Man, you know where I want to go? Have you seen those banana, whatever? What is it called? The banana?
I don't. It's something the bananas, but I don't. I've seen it
Minor
online.
League baseball.
I think it's like
just
the baseball Globetrotters.
Is it?
Yeah,
because I saw a guy doing the splits at home plate the other day. I was like, there's no way that he's trying to get into the
I saw a guy in his stop his windup, then everybody on the field started doing the same dance, and then he pitched the ball.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
So yeah, I think it's a Globetrotters for baseball, but I think it's funny.
I bet it's cheap. I bet it's fun to watch. They had a Yankee, a Hall of Famer on there the other day throwing out a pitch, which was pretty cool. But they're gaining a lot of traction because it's fun. It's probably fairly cheap. They're not going to try to, it's not like going to Astros or Yankees. Can you imagine if the Astros how much is it to go to Yankees home opener?
I wouldn't even. I don't know, but I wouldn't go. That's what sucks about being in Tulsa right now is that it's the Tulsa Drillers or the AA affiliate of the Dodgers. So I got to go watch the Dodgers.
The Drillers.
I mean, it's fun.
So the minor league team in Tulsa is the Dodgers.
The Dodgers affiliate, the Drillers. I mean,
I like that name.
The Tulsa Drillers.
Houston changed their AAA team to the Space Cowboys.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. I like the Skeeters better.
I like the Skeeter. I don't
Space Cowboys?
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like an old George Michael song or something.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah. Or whoever sang that.
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. There you go. Tom Petty.
Just interesting that well, speaking of logos, they came up with these Nike logos, and I actually liked the Astros uniforms, and I saw the other ones. They're city logos, right?
The Space City?
Yeah,
I thought those are pretty good.
I liked it. I did. I liked the colors. Nike did a good job with that. They do them for football too, and I think the uniforms look cool. And I like it. I don't like the NBA's version of that stuff. Like, it is a little bit too much for me, man. I did see the other day on the Golden State Warriors. You know how they allow advertising on the uniforms now? Golden State Warriors are advertising Bumble on their jerseys.
I was like, Steph Curry's wife's
wait a minute, dude. I didn't know that was the thing.
I think that advertising on the jerseys is the trashiest. I mean, they're not making enough money. Exactly. Yeah, it's like, I mean, next thing you know, it's a car driving out with all the bumper stickers. That's what their jerseys are going to start looking like.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit out of control over there, and look, it's all about the money, and that's what we were talking about. Speaking of the NBA, look, I tell people this all the time, and we talked before the show. It's not my favorite sport right now, and that we mentioned that, it's even funnier because a guy that plays in the NBA just quit the NBA, which I thought was hysterical. Mario Hezonja, I think that's how an actually really good NBA player, came out today and says he will not return to the NBA. I have no desire to return to the NBA. I saw a lot of things there. I'm not going to return there. I didn't get as much respect on the court as I deserved. In addition, my opinion, basketball in the NBA is more of a show than a game.
Yes, sir.
I agree, and I think that goes back to the salary deal. I think every sport will become that way if it's not reeled in. But the NBA is, it's just, to me, it's not even fun to watch. It's a bunch of ISO ball. It's a bunch of, one-on-one, no defense, and I don't think it's a good product that they're putting out. And I think, a perfect example of that's LeBron James. I mean, that guy doesn't care about anything but himself. He needs to stay out of politics. He needs to play basketball and do his deal. Other than that, he's just a sideshow. And he obviously, look at their payroll. Look at the players they had. Are they in the playoffs?
3 Hall of Famers not made the playoffs, and what some would say is the most disastrous season of the NBA in their history. You have 3 Hall of Fame players.
Yeah, it's awful.
You could not get it together. And so the criticism on LBJ, obviously he goes into these teams and he destroys them, breaks them down. Yes, he won a championship in Miami. The best thing that LeBron, in my opinion, that he did in his career was the Cleveland championship. I thought that was amazing. Coming down 3-1, that was the pinnacle of his career, and he should have stayed in Cleveland. And I think basketball would have been better for it if he did.
Agree.
He won the championship for his hometown. It was amazing. He beat, at that time, and still to this day, the best regular season basketball team ever. They were 73-1, beating Jordan 72. Or not 73-1, sorry, 73-9. They beat Jordan 72-10 team, and they came back down 3-1.
Yeah,
which had never happened like in the NBA championship. And LeBron James was a fan favorite at home, and then all hell broke loose. And I agree with you that LeBron it's a sideshow act. It's like, here, my friends want to play here, and they meet up during the summer and be like, oh, I'll bring you on over here. Do you even remember? Like, nobody remembers that Carmelo Anthony's also on that team. That's 4 Hall of Famers.
Is he?
Yes.
He active?
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't see them on there. But regardless, I tell people this all the time. I don't watch the regular season NBA anymore. It is a joke, and it's another thing where fans, they pay a bunch of money to go to the games. And in this instant, if it's game number 60, your players, they don't even play.
No, you don't even know. You're taking your kid. Hey, you want to go see LeBron James?
Yeah,
and you show up, and he's in sunglasses and
if he's not,
jumpsuit.
Yeah, and then Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. You don't get to see any of the guys that you're paying good money to go see because these players are like, I'm taking the day off today. My ankle's still a little sore. Back in the day, you had to play those 82 games. Something better basically be wrong with you physically, like really wrong with you, in order for you not to play a game. And they just take them.
No, Vernon Maxwell could get shot, and he was going to play. Back then,
Mad Max.
95, in the 90s, the Rockets were. I love the NBA back then, but those guys were playing because they had passion and they had purpose out there. Now, LeBron's next big deal is he wants to play with Bronny. He's going to go where Bronny. Who cares?
Well, I don't think that LeBron, Bronny's going to. He's not even highly recruited. He doesn't look to be.
You don't think he's going to get shot because of his name?
The best thing that LeBron James needs to do, which I do think that he will be traded in this offseason. I'm almost positive he will. They're done with him in LA. I think Magic Johnson. I think Jeannie Buss. I think the town. I haven't spoken to you about this, but look, LeBron James is not James Worthy. He's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's not Magic Johnson. He's not Kobe Bryant. He's not Shaquille O'Neal. Those are L.A. Lakers.
Right.
And they live in that town, and the town accepts them. They're part of that history. I don't think LeBron fits in that category over there.
No, especially after this year.
Yeah,
whatever foothold he had before this year is gone because he was basically shitting his mess kid.
Yeah, I have Laker fans that we don't watch the games. We don't, and I just think that he's ran his course. Look, he got him he got him a banner. I'm not going to say a championship because that bubble banner and the Disney championship, however you want to explain it to yourself. I'm not saying way to go Lakers. That wasn't it. I think that he's done. The best thing that could happen for the NBA and for LeBron James is go back to Cleveland. They actually have a decent team.
Or just retire.
Yeah, or just retire. Go home, spend your last couple years, or wait on Bronny if that's what you want to do, man. But stop this. He's literally just parading around the NBA. And he's just turned it into a mockery and a joke. And people are just like, and I don't care how many of you think that the ratings have gone up. They have not. Now, there was an incredible game last night. The Hawks beat the Heat, or the Hawks get killed by the Heat, 115-91. But the Nets and Boston Celtics series is going to be fun to watch. Again, I don't watch till playoffs, but I did watch that game last night. And it was fun. It was absolutely Jaylen Brown with a last-second layup. It was fan. I heard this today. Last-second layup, in Boston had never happened before in the history of the Celtics. A last-second win in the playoffs.
I think
That's crazy with their whole history.
Their history, and kind of that's what I was going. It's hard to believe with the history of the Lakers, the Celtics, teams like that. You'll never have that sideshow, loss of interest in Boston. I just think they're they won't allow it.
No, that's like the
culture in LA and that whole state. It's what
different.
Drives that awful culture that they have.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, and now I mean, you got what 7, 8 professional teams in LA. Like I mean, it's hard. You got the Dodgers, the Anaheim Angels. I
bet the Clippers draw better than the Lakers.
The Clippers and the Lakers. Well, they do now for sure, 100%. I'm sad the Clippers lost, but anyways, the Celtics beat the Nets on a last-second shot, which was fantastic. And the highlight of this whole game, which I think goes into exactly what we're talking about, which I think the NBA needs, is Kyrie Irving flipping off the entire crowd in Boston. I'm sorry, if you're going to pay a ticket, it does not give you the right to tell him to F off. It doesn't. You can't scream profanities about his family and this without him being able to say, "Man, F you too."
Yeah, he's got to be able to respond. I mean, to a point. I mean, he's in the limelight. He's getting paid a lot of money. He's got to show a little more self-control to a point. I mean, I don't know exactly what was said, but I'm a pretty emotional guy, so I'm not going to definitely. I have other reasons not to like Kyrie Irving. It's not because he flipped off.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him. Again, I don't know what was said, but
they were basically saying you saw his sack. They were cursing at him bad and talking about his family and it's like, chill, dude. I'm sorry. If you buy a ticket to an NBA game, it's one thing to heckle, like that's fine. We understand that, but it's another thing to get personal and stuff like that. And don't get upset when he responds. And if the NBA was looking for ratings, Kyrie Irving just drove them up a little because people are gonna be like,
and they need ratings.
Yeah,
they need it.
Yeah, they need it bad. And Kyrie, I mean, literally, he was standing on the sideline doing this with his FU behind him, and then he made a 3 with somebody right on him, and just ran right by them all, like down the half court, and just flipping them off. I was like, this is great because if you don't watch the NBA, but are you flipping through and now you see that game on, you might click on it now and go, all right, let me see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Because now there's obviously one more game in Boston, and then they're going to go back to New Jersey. Now imagine when they go back to New Jersey. The fans in New Jersey, now you've got that Boston, New York thing going on again. And here we go.
It's going to be intense.
Yeah.
It's going to be intense.
I guarantee you the prices for that game in New Jersey, I bet they're skyrocketing. People cannot wait. People are making signs. That'll be fun. This series should be fun to watch. I hope that New Jersey ties it up tomorrow night and they go back. And I hope that's a 7-game series. The NBA needs that. Me being in this business, you want content.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
Him flipping off the fans is the same kind of moving the needle, if you will, of Will Smith slapping what's his name at the
Chris
Grammy?
Rock.
Chris Rock. I mean,
man, when I saw that
nobody
live,
watched the Grammys until that. Oh, you saw it live.
I saw it live. I was just flipping. I swear to God, I was like, man, because there was nothing else on that did a good job of putting that on, and nothing was on. Because I don't watch channel. Here's channel 11, 12, 13, ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right.
I don't watch. There's nothing on that's worth a crap to me, so I don't really watch. I still watch Friends before I'll put it on anything like that. But I was like, let me just see what literally I flipped it on. I was watching. I was on my phone doing some work. It was just noise in the background. But Chris Rock was up there, so I was like, well, let me just listen to what Chris Rock has to say. He's always kind of funny. And I saw it live, and I was like,
staged or not?
No way that just happened. No, I saw it live, and I was like, no, there's no way. Because they stopped the sound. They cut everything off, and they went to like 2 or 3 different camera angles. They were all confused, and I was like, oh, crap. I think I was like one of the first people, at least on my feed, to post like what happened. I was like, did that? And then like all of a sudden, you see everything start coming out. I was shocked, dude. And all the people that thought it was fake, look what's happening now. There's no way that was fake because Will Smith is getting drugged under the bus. I mean, like everything. Chris Rock tickets went up. By the way, he's coming to Houston. I'm not plugging him or anything.
Him and Will Smith are coming together.
Right.
Will Smith's opening for him now.
That dude. His brother wants to box him. I think there was a rapper. What's the dude that slept with Kim Kardashian? What was his name? Ray J?
Who didn't?
I hate everybody at this
Travis
point.
Scott.
Travis. Oh, yeah, that's the other card. Let's talk about Kim. The sex tape. Was it Ray J?
I have
forget.
no idea.
Anyways, I forget.
Just being honest, have no idea.
Well, I think it was one of them. But, anyways, moving on before we get into too much of that. What'd you say, Mike? Yes, I believe Pena is in the lineup. Yeah, it's the home opener. The Astros are on.
I'm sure.
Of course. It's not just for
sure
offensive reasons. That guy defensively looks to be absolutely fantastic, man.
You know you're up the middle guys. Your catcher, short, second, center. We're always supposed to be defensive guys. The game's changing a little bit, but those are all your defensive guys.
Well, for those, I think we said at the when Mike was on the show last week or a week and a half ago, we said that the shift, for those of y'all that don't, the shift is changing next year. Unfortunately, it's not this year. You know, we've already seen it affect games this year, and I absolutely I hate it because it's going to make the game more interesting. They should have implemented it, I think, immediately.
Well, I mean, again, it's kind of like going back to the salary deal. If everybody that they were shifting on, that you have for instance, let's say your third baseman is playing shortstop, and every guy went up there and bunted.
Use Jordan for example.
If he went up there and bunted, and the I guess the response I get is, well, that's better than him hitting a home run, so we'll take it.
Yeah, but the game would be.
But if you constantly have people on base and the pitcher's constantly working on out of the stretch, that's going to affect the game.
100%.
So don't bitch about it. Change it. Beat it.
Yep.
Which I'm glad you can't do it, but I'm saying for this year, Rizzo did it.
The other night, all the way down third. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Well, it would have been for him too, but he didn't know where the ball went.
Yeah.
He thought he fouled it straight back and then saw it land, and it landed all the way by third base.
Well, we've got, look, man, I know we're not going to stick too much on the NBA here, dude. We've got the Raptors and 76ers, Raptors 13 and 76ers 12, which, by the way, James Harden.
That's 13 or 12 already?
Well, no. He has 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist right now, but he's playing more of a point guard position now. And actually distributing instead of jacking up a lot of stuff. But what's going to be funny in this series, I hope Toronto comes back. I hope these series are long for the NBA, for their ratings in general. But if Harden goes into Game 7 and chokes, it's over, bro. Like, I mean, I can't even, because that's his history.
That's his MO, yeah.
That is it. James Harden chokes in every single playoff scenario there is.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the one that I was actually there. It was against the Spurs. I don't know.
Oh, when Ginobili blocked him?
Yeah, I mean, they had a bunch of they had a guy that they pulled off the street 2 weeks before the series starts, and he comes out and they just wore the Rockets out. Harden had like 8 points in Game 7.
Somebody said, or Chewy said, sex tapes. We talking sex tapes, yeah, man. This is sports with balls, man. We talk about whatever. That's how things go, man. Man, we're having fun. Thank y'all for listening to Sports with Balls, man. Go to any one of our social media sites. Please like, share the show. Join up on the YouTube. We are talking here with Stephen Truitt, the owner of Clean Athlete. Go and check out his product at thecleanathlete.org. It's fantastic, man. I ordered mine, and I'm glad you hand delivered it today. This is fantastic stuff.
Serve it with a smile.
There you go. And this dude shot a 77 today over at Blackjack.
Blue Jack.
I love. Maybe I'm gambling too much. I don't know.
Yeah. Get your mind out of the gutter.
It's thecleanathlete.org for those of y'all listening, but those of y'all watching the show on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, it's right there on the screen. Give them a call, 281-733-4150. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Tell me just a little bit about it one more time before we get out of here.
Basically, it's what your body produces when you get sick. It fights off the pathogens, the bacteria that are in the air. It's not harmful to ingest. As a matter of fact, when my kids start getting sniffly, I'll put 4 sprays in a nebulizer, have them run the nebulizer over their mouth and nose to kill all the viral load that they're carrying or have picked up at school. It's an amazing product. It's
awesome.
What kind of places would you say that this is best used at?
It's best used all over your body. It's great for, honestly, it's great for sunburns, mosquito bites, nicks.
Mosquito bites. That's a big one.
wounds,
dude.
you know,
Yeah.
nicks, abrasions. I mean, that's originally what it was for.
Yeah.
It was in our World War I. Our soldiers used it for nicks, abrasions, and gunshot wounds.
Well, it's incredible. I like it. I sprayed on my daughter's hands and face before she goes into her softball games and practices and stuff like that. I'm not a clean freak. I'm not a germaphobe, but man, this is like a liquid mask that protects you from all that stuff where you don't actually have to put on those straps and talk to people like that. Absolutely obnoxious. The stuff's amazing. Again, thecleanathlete.org, thecleanathlete.org. Got to thank a couple of people before we get out of here. Mark Boardman and Construction Concepts, changing corporate culture one design at a time. From hospitality to corporate luxury retail and their medical facilities, their team of experts can create or update a space that exceeds your expectations. Give them a call, 713-589-2682. That's buildithouston.com. I guess that's about it. Like, final notes. Look, we talked a little bit about how money is changing. The NFL signed their highest paid cornerback ever in Cleveland, which the Cleveland Browns. Like, I wish we had more time to get into that because that's an hysterical
train wreck.
But look, guys, I want to thank y'all for paying attention to us again, man. Stephen Truitt, thank you so much for coming on the show. Dude, I can't believe it's been an hour.
Yeah, it flew by, man. I appreciate you having me. It's been fun.
Let's go play golf soon, man. Listen, thank you guys for watching Sports with Balls. I'm Jeff Michael, man. We will see you back